tell you a little bit about how things are going to go, so you're prepared, how we're engaging on social media, and who our speakers are. So first up, I'm so used to like teaching mode. Oh, hello. Nothing else so much. So we're going to start with a few brief presentations, like a little bit of introduction and dialogue. You'll hear first from Patrick Doyle from Feeding Tampa Bay. Next, you'll hear from Dr. Rafael Fuentes, who's a counselor here on campus. And then you'll hear from our artist, Cecilia Lueza, who's going to be creating a mural on the social sciences building outside. And so today is so crucial because you're going to give her the feedback she needs to inform her design. So rather than her assume she knows what you guys want, how you would like to address these critical issues of health and wellness, she's going to listen to what you guys have to say. So again, thank you so much for being here. We have about 10 minutes per session. You'll have time to fill out one of those little surveys. We'll give you some time to discuss ideas as a group. And then you'll kind of elect some readers and writers at the time. See if everybody has colorful Post-it notes at their table. After you've done the survey and heard from the presenters, you're going to give us your top 3 responses. And they're going to go up on this board. And we're going to kind of build a fabric or a collage, if you will, of ideas for the project. So you guys all on board? Yes. Try that again. Are you all on board? Yes. There we go. Okay, please welcome Patrick Doyle.
Hey everybody, it's good to see you today. My name is Patrick Doyle with Feeding Tampa Bay. Has anybody heard of Feeding Tampa Bay? Hey, great. Well, thanks for that. So we are the major food bank in the area, and our goal is to end hunger in the Tampa Bay area by 2025. By then, we're going to make sure that everybody who needs food has access to it and knows where to find it. So before I tell you a little bit more about that and about food insecurity here, I want to share a story of one of our clients. This is Deidre, and that's her son Dacian. They're real people that go to the food pantry, in this case in Bradenton. And a few years ago, Deidre and Dacian moved south to Florida from Chicago. They were leaving a difficult living situation, an abusive situation, and were looking for a fresh start. When they got to Florida, shortly after they moved here, Deidre noticed that Dacian was not developing the same way as a lot of the other children that she knew. And he was diagnosed with autism. So whereas Deidre was looking to move to Florida, get a new start, get a job, she realized that she needed to spend all of her time taking care of Dacian's needs. So without a job and any other income, she started visiting the food pantry in Bradenton. And she was able to get healthy, nutritious foods, fresh produce, other healthy foods for Dacian, and noticed that he was behaving much better and developing much better with those fresh foods rather than inexpensive packaged and processed foods. So she's hoping that in the next year or so, she's going to be able to get Dacian into a preschool program for kids with special needs, and then she'll be able to get back to work. And until then, she's going to continue using the food pantry, and has sung our praises in many different instances. So Deidre had to make some tough choices about what to do. So we're going to ask you for a little activity right now. We're going to make some tough choices ourselves. On your tables, there are yellow cards, so you can somebody can grab that. That's what we're going to talk about next. So here's the situation. You've got $100 left. Thank you, Amanda. You've got $100 left until your next paycheck, and you're feeling okay about what you're going to be able to cover as far as your household expenses until then. Until something happens, which is on your card. So we're going to take a couple of minutes, discuss with the people at your table, talk about what you would do. Maybe you've had a real life situation similar to this. You can talk about that as well. And decide what you would do with this situation. So just take a couple of minutes, and then we're going to come back in a second and we'll talk about it.
Yeah. So here's your scenario. So you have someone read it, and then you can discuss based on the prompts. You've got $100 left here. So what happens?
What's it say? So do you understand the prompt? Okay. So, you paid all your bills of $100 until your next paycheck, right? Then this prompt. Because I want to be like so right next to you. We always want to be right next to your landlord. What's a landlord? The person that owns your house, right? If you're in an apartment, you get them rent, right? He raises the rent. He raises the rent right now. And what do? You pay the increase of $100, or do you move out for What do you do? Do you stay there? He says today, rent $100 more. Why? For rent? Where will you go?
That's what
Okay, so you would stay with a friend. Alright, what if your friend is not available? What's another choice?
It's tough,
It's a hard
right?
choice. It's a hard choice. Have you? Yeah, I think, but I did with that. Again, it's probably not increase in rent. You used to be able to afford better.
I like the budget.
It's hard to move to a place, right? Because you have to have first month savings. It's a lot more.
Up to next paycheck.
Right, and what happens?
Oh, yeah, you're
You
right.
have that extra.
Okay, just about 30 more seconds and then we'll come back.
What if you need to buy more food for your family, like my son? So,
$4, $5, $6 a drink.
come in one thing, will you stay or will you go?
Okay, guys, let's wrap up and I'll grab your attention again.
Yeah, and where would you go?
So I want to hear real quick from someone who'd like to share what their card says and what your group talked about. Any volunteers? Yes?
Alright, so our event was, your credit card is due for this month. What do you want to do? Pay the minimum of $25 or ignore it? We discussed that it was better to pay the $25 now, because if you wait for it, it can affect you in the future and probably charge you more than $25.
Very true. That's a tough choice. So you think you've made a good decision, and then you have another tough choice. Does anyone want to volunteer their tough choice? Maybe this group over here?
Go for it.
You wanna read it? You want me to read it? Okay. Without warning, your landlord raises the rent effective immediately. What do you want to do? Pay the monthly increase of $100 or move out for $1,500? What do you do?
So now you've decided to pay your credit card bill to be fiscally responsible, and then something else comes up and you're out of money. What are you going to do? It can be difficult to make these decisions sometimes. And when your budget is limited, a great way to save money is to go to the food pantry. So those are choices some of us maybe have made in the past, or know people who have made. It's a choice that Deidre had to make. And it's a choice that a lot of people face in experiencing food insecurity. So we're going to talk a little bit about what food insecurity is, how it affects the Tampa Bay region specifically, and what we're doing to end hunger by 2025. So food insecurity means that you don't have the access to healthy food or have a limited access to enough nutritional content. Food insecurity might affect you only for a couple weeks out of the month, or it may be all the time. But if you're not sure where your next meal is going to come from, somebody is food insecure. And people are affected across backgrounds, races, genders. The majority of people who experience food insecurity in the Tampa Bay region are working families. They're employed people. So they have some income, but it's not enough to have food for their family every single day. So it also includes seniors. 1 in 7 people in Tampa Bay experience food insecurity, including 1 in 4 children. 1 out of every 4 children doesn't have consistent access to a meal. Our food that we distribute to people comes from a variety of places. We get a lot of retail donations, so Publix, Walmart, Winn-Dixie, the other grocery store chains donate food that is past the sell-by date, but still good for people to eat. We also get food from farms, from the USDA, and we also purchase a lot of food so that we can provide consistent access to fresh produce, that most nutritious food. And we need help. So how can you help? One great way is to give the gift of time. We have a number of volunteer opportunities where you can help serve people a meal, package food that will go to people later on, or other things. And you can also share the gift of your voice. So using your social networks, social media to share Feeding Tampa Bay's message and draw more people in so that we can, as a community, end hunger in Tampa Bay by 2025. More specifically, how we're doing it at Feeding Tampa Bay is that we're engaging 2 outcomes. So we are looking for health, which comes from access to healthy foods, and we're creating capability, which comes from access to programs, partnerships, and services for people in need. We're evolving the way that we get food to people, so we're taking more client-focused distribution methods, going into, say, the schools, elementary schools, and setting up a food pantry so that parents with children are able to get food while they're picking up their kid instead of making another trip to the food pantry or to a grocery store. We're energizing people by distributing even more fresh produce, those healthiest foods that people need to thrive. We're engaging our partners to build a movement around ending hunger. And we're empowering people through job opportunities and benefits connections so that not only are we feeding people, but we're getting people out of a food line. So some of our programs include Trinity Cafe, which is a food for today strategy. So we try to get food to people for today, food for people for tomorrow, and food for a lifetime. So Trinity Cafe is a free restaurant that's in 2 locations in Tampa. You can go in and get a free meal 365 days a year. Food for Tomorrow includes our partner network. There's over 550 food pantries throughout our region, and those are churches, community centers, other locations where people can go and get food. As I mentioned, you can get food at a number of school pantries around Tampa. The Publix Community Market is at our distribution center on the east side of Tampa. You can come and get food from us on Monday afternoons with an appointment. And then we have mobile solutions too, like My Mobile Market, which is a low-cost grocery store on wheels, and mobile pantries, which distribute free food straight into neighborhoods that don't have as much access to food. And finally, programs that provide food for a lifetime. We do SNAP assistance, so getting people signed up for SNAP, which is the program formerly known as food stamps. Gets food to more people. We do nutrition education so that when you go to the food pantry and maybe you get a butternut squash and don't know what to do with the butternut squash, we have a cooking demonstration and recipes so that you can take that home and make a healthy meal. And Fresh Force is our newest program. It's a workforce training program that gets people certification in a few different types of jobs so that they can earn more money and not need to use food relief resources in the future. So that's a bit about Feeding Tampa Bay. Just one last thing, if you want to learn more about us, join our movement, volunteer or otherwise stay involved, you can go to hungerfree2025.com to learn how you can help us end hunger in Tampa Bay. And that's it for me for right now.
Okay, so if you don't know, raise it by a show of hands. How many of you know we have a food pantry on campus? Okay, good. So for those of you who didn't raise your hand, now you can, right? So there's a food pantry in the social sciences building. They receive products from Feeding Tampa Bay, so they're already working in collaboration with their campus. And some of the programs that Patrick was talking about, like the mobile market and the cooking demonstrations, will be a part of our programming for the mural when we unveil it in April. So you can actually go and see what those kinds of programs are like in April when we're celebrating the completion of the mural. Next up is going to be Dr. Rafael Fuentes. So everyone welcome Rafael.
Hello everyone, how are we doing today? Very good. So, I'm Dr. Fuentes, I'm a counselor here at HCC Del Maby. Do you know where is the counseling department? Yes. Where is it? Upstairs, right there, bam! My office is upstairs, so if you need any help, we are here to help you. How? And this is very important because many times you have no idea. I have students who come to my office, they have been referred by a professor, and they said, I didn't know we have counselors over here. We have 4. And by the way, if you speak Spanish, yo hablo español, so, and definitely it's not mandatory to speak only in English in my office, so you can feel free. I don't speak any other language, I'm sorry. So, but you can feel free to talk to us. However, today, the main reason I'm here is to talk about what's the correlation about mental health and hunger, right? So there is a strong correlation, and actually, if you notice, there is a little paper. So if you thought you were done by having a group discussion, it's now over. So you have this little piece of paper, and you will see we have 2 questions, okay? So you have to check in your paper if you will be assigned to talk about question number 2 or question number 1. And you will have to discuss with your peers in your table. Those are the questions. What's the correlation do you see between hunger and mental health? Again, what correlation do you see between hunger and mental health? And the second question is, which population do you think are most impacted by hunger? So I do hear someone speaking in Spanish. I'll translate it for you. Listen everyone, please, pay attention, escuchen. ¿Cuál es la correlación entre el no tener comida y la salud mental? And the second is, ¿qué población es la que se está impactando más con esta situación? Okay? So those are the questions. So put your brainstorm together, squeeze your brain about it, and once again, it doesn't have to be the 2 questions, just the designated one, okay?
Well, I think everybody that makes less than $50,000.
Okay, yeah, but what about which software?
30 more seconds. 30 more seconds. All right, time is up. Can you hear me, guys? Time is up. Time is up. So, let me take this opportunity to say we are going Facebook Live. Woohoo! Yay! So, I just want to promote, we're going to have a hashtag Grounds4Art. So, hashtag Grounds4Art. So even after the event, even though Amanda will be talking about it after, if you even want to give some contribution or you want to share something, feel free to do it through Twitter or Facebook, alrighty? So, which table was in charge for number 1? Alrighty, so I would like to know, or I would like to hear, what do you think is the correlation between hunger and mental health?
Number one, we felt that it was important. We made better decisions when we either weren't hungry or knew when we were going to have our next meal, and didn't have to worry about when we were going to be fed.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Over here.
We talked about it being bad for your body. So like if you have a bad diet, constantly eat junk food, it'll probably obviously your body feels I don't need to weight, obviously gaining weight just to get easier, like it's mess with your sleep. So it would have that would mess with your mental too, because you won't want to get out of bed, like it'll mess with your
You mentioned a very key point, and I have to say, I'm a clinician. Besides being here, I'm a mental health clinician. And one of the key components when we are diagnosing someone is the longevity, the time this person has been going through. So I do have to say, sleep is a symptom of depression. If someone is having sleep problems for a long time, besides having appetite disturbance, so sometimes people are wanting to eat the whole fridge or their appetite is gone. Believe it or not, those little things are symptoms of depression. That's one of the reasons when you go to a medical doctor or when you go to a psychotherapist or mental health counselor or psychiatrist, they are asking you, are you sleeping well? How is your appetite? Besides, something else that it happens quite often, they call it clinically anhedonia. It's pretty much your motivation. Many times that you kind of planning things and at the last minute you kind of like, oh, whatever, I don't want to do it. And if you do it often, believe it or not, please don't self-diagnose yourself, please. But it can be a possible symptom of depression. On another note, if 4 days out of 7 days out of the week, you are going through this stress, that's not a good sign. And this is happening for a second week. This is happening for a third week. So believe it or not, if you've been going through all these situations for 6 months or more, you might be, or they can give you kind of for a depression, for major depression. And that's something that you have to be aware. So question number 2. So which population do you think are most impacted by hunger? Table number 2, or the question number 2 over here? Good. You're on the spot now.
So we talked about the population in HCC, and we talked about the prime students and the students that own student loans. So those are the most exposed or impacted.
Very good. Thank you.
Hunger situation.
Thank you so much. So who else would like to share something? Which other table has question number 2? Alrighty, would you like to share something? Yay!
Hi. So we were discussing which population do you think are most impacted by hunger, and we actually said single parents, just because they have a lot of pressure on them and the burden can be more for them. We also said people of color or from low economic backgrounds.
Guess what? You have the right answer. We have a winner! Yay! So, I do have to say, yes, believe it or not, children are one of the most impacted people or a population that they are suffering hunger. And actually, we have a great scenario here, which is another population that is suffering hunger, single parents. Okay, and if you notice, especially here in the Tampa Bay area, we have a lot of single parents. And it doesn't have to be only a mom with a child. Many times nowadays we have a father being single and going through all of this. On another note, and this is something more, people that I know working in the school system, you have no idea. They tell me they suffer, they are very sad when the kids are putting the password or some kind of system they have in the school system, and they don't have money to get their food. And they have to tell them, I'm sorry, you have to move forward. That breaks my heart, just thinking about it. Something that you have to be aware, I don't know if you have learned, if you have taken psychology already, the Maslow hierarchy. So food is a basic need. It's a basic need, as long as air and sleep. If you don't sleep, it's like, what's going on with you? And believe it or not, once again, if you continue having these issues, it might cause a lot of depression or even trauma or anxiety. Something, when I was putting together this presentation, sadly but true, there is a strong correlation between this issue and the cavemen. Do you remember cavemen? They were always stressful, looking for food all day long. And there is a strong correlation because people who are suffering hunger, they are constantly distressed in not knowing what they're having for dinner. So with that being said, thank you so much for your collaboration. We're happy here. And thank you for your help, okay?
Okay, so now I think you're really getting into that frame of mind. The mural is based on these themes of health and wellness. We were originally inspired by the food pantry on campus, so we're trying to think about these concepts holistically. So I want you to be thinking about how art might address or relate to or visualize the things that we've been talking so far with Dr. Rafael Fuentes and Patrick Doyle. So next, we're going to hear from our artist, Cecilia Lueza. She's going to tell you about her background, the kind of work that she does. So please join me in welcoming Cecilia Lueza.
Thank you. Okay, well, I'm a visual artist with a passion for public art. I like to say that my passion for art has been the shining light guiding my life since I was a child growing up in Argentina. I'm from Argentina. So 20 years ago, I moved to the United States to follow my dreams. And that's when I realized that art can have a bigger and lasting impact if taken outside the gallery walls and share with an entire community, with people from all walks of life. I also realized art has the power to transform and bring new life to places or spaces that otherwise would go unnoticed. So that's when my artistic journey began to take shape. Let's start here. That's a little introduction. So, I love color, sorry. So my work reflects my lifelong fascination with the visual effects of color, nature, geometry, and the concept of space, movement, and transition. I think Florida with all its natural beauty and the colors and the brightness is a main source of inspiration for me, for my work. Over the past 2 decades, I have been exploring a wide range of mediums, painting, sculpture, but I think my favorite two are mural art and monumental sculptures. I also work with my husband, and we work very hard to bring all these projects to life. It's important to me to create works that are not only innovative and engaging and timeless, but also bring or provide a sense of place and identity to the given spaces. And that usually happens with mural art, where it can really transform completely a dreadful wall or dreadful space, and it can be something fantastic. Maybe some of you know some of these murals, I wonder? Yes, no? Okay. I live in St. Pete, so most of these murals are in St. Pete, in St. Petersburg. When it comes to mural art, I think I love the challenge of conquering large walls with beautiful, striking, but also meaningful art. This was one of the most interesting projects because we had to work at a construction site, and it was kind of it was challenging. We had to wear hard hats. But the opportunity to connect with the public through my work is very rewarding and uplifting in itself, and I think that's what I love the most about mural projects. This one is in Clearwater, Orlando. This one is it's an indoor mural that's at the James Museum of Wildlife and Western Art. It was a private project for private residents. And then it's the community-based projects. That's another element about mural projects, mural art. That's very interesting because you get to connect with a lot of people. Sometimes it takes a village to bring a project to life, from concept design to installation. And these projects have been really fun and challenging also. These few first images are from Connecting the Blocks. It was a project that took place in Fort Lauderdale in 2014. And we needed a lot of volunteers to make it happen. We painted 3 different intersections along Las Olas Boulevard, and each intersection took like 80 volunteers to make it happen. And it was in the middle of the summer, so that's another thing to consider. That's the final product. I don't have all the images, it's 3 different intersections. This one, you heard about this one, is a common ground in St. Petersburg, in downtown St. Pete. Was a project for Shine 2016, Shine Mural Festival. And it was also, we planned to make it happen in one day, but it rained, so the paint started, the paint was ruined, so we had to come back a month later to finish. And that's when we were finally get it all done. And that's another project. Last year we did for Shine 2019. We painted It's a storm drain. It looks like a pier. So those are some of our community-based projects, like this one. So we need to hear from you so we can make this a success, this mural project. Any questions?
All right, let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you.
Okay, so all of you at each table have a stack of surveys that look like this. So what you're going to do is connect the dots, what you heard from our first two presenters, what you saw from Cecilia's work, and what then you would like to see, putting all of these things together. So we're going to be about like 10 minutes or so, fill this out individually, and then I want you to talk about your responses as a group. Those Post-it notes that are at every table, once you've had a chance to talk, I want you to put your top 3 responses, write it out on those Post-it notes. Then we're going to go around the room, and you can elect one or multiple people, maybe everyone does a Post-it, and we're going to put it on the board and create that like tapestry of feedback, the group consensus from the session. And depending how we are on time, if we can do additional comments, we'll do it at that point. So fill out the survey. If you finish early before your group members are done, you can hashtag Grounds4Art on Twitter or Facebook and see how the dialogue is going. Whatever you want to say, if you're enjoying this, if there's something you want to do a shout out for, some of your responses, it's up to you. Okay, so please fill out that survey. So when you're all done, talk and do your top 3 responses. Remember, we're trying to give the artist feedback so she knows what to make through the mural.
Has anyone make any comments?
No, nobody has made any comments yet. They're just watching.
Appreciate we're filling out we're filling out the survey.
More
Cecilia. So the first one is, that's that group that is health, right? Health and healthy. So when we think of health, what's the first thing we're thinking? What is your exercise? Write it down. It could be body health or it could be mental health. Like I know the first group up there said that the first thing they thought about was your health then the second thing is, you know how the regular, it's just, it's geometric shapes. Pictures. Remember the picture of the horse?
Right, inside.
So, what do you prefer? Would you prefer to have more water? Would you like a picture? Remember the mural with the birds? It was geometric, but it was birds. So what would you like to see in the mural? Right? Maybe a flyer. Maybe flying birds. Flying birds. So that's the same motivation. Then what do you like about this?
I already answered mine.
Did you tell them your secret?
We're about halfway through time, and then checking in. And there was a question in the back. I said it once, but it's good to reaffirm. The mural will be on the outside of the social sciences building. So we picked the social sciences building specifically because that's where our food pantry is held. So see, it all comes full circle. So again, about halfway through, you should be finishing up the survey and talking as a group what your top things you want to see in the mural or how you want to see some of these issues addressed. And you'll put those on the post-it notes. About a little less than 5 minutes.
That's good. We on the level road too.
That was a good class. I was very impressed with the discussion.
Today?
Yeah.
The image is like a picture, right? Like a horse.
You guys doing okay? You know what you want to see?
I was trying to encourage them to think about like the specific images. There's like a visual connection.
They saw she does full, so you know, it's like everything's a specific object.
Right.
No stress. You think that'd be great?
Before I leave, I'm going to try to get a full. And I'll bet you I'm going to get one from you too. One from you, Father. And then that's due the final draft will be due not too long. Before the February. When would you like to see the finished article of this part? A week or 2 weeks, 10 days? Okay, I don't like to let these things go on. I don't want to lose sight of this.
But what did you think about insecurity?
Those are more like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, of course, but those are more like feelings. For the mural, to see what objects or images to provide. What do you think about health and wellness? Apples, wow, you know, whatever, right. But I'm not trying to keep you.
It's going to be awesome saying it.
But, or like a club team, weekend club team.
Okay, hopefully you've got your top 3 things you'd like to see in the mural, or specific issues you want addressed. Especially if you have like concrete objects or images and colors that you'd like to see that you think really are related to the things that you heard today. As you can see, we're live on Twitter, so if you want to use that hashtag Grounds4Art, maybe you're not comfortable speaking in front of a crowd, but you'd rather post on social media, so feel free to do that. We'll keep refreshing it so you can see what people are saying online as well as in the groups. So, do I have a volunteer group that's done? You've got your top 3 on the post-it notes that would like to kick us off. Now everybody scrambles. Wait.
Top 3, what do you got?
Yeah, one idea per post-it. Okay, so we're going to start in the group back here. So, what do you have on your post-its?
Motion, color, and symbolism.
Okay, excellent. So I'm going to take the post-it, and you can do one per. This group did them all on one. So they said they want to see motion, color, and symbolism. Very good, thank you. What group is ready next? Okay, this group. Okay, so we have optimism, energy, color mucho. I like that. Color mucho. That fits in very, very well with Cecilia's way of working. You know, everybody's like, oh, I get it, and they're writing them down. We got a group that's ready next? Perfect. So this group wrote, relax. Oh, it's okay. Look at this thing. So relax, socialize, helpful, and no stress. Okay, so socialize, helpful, no stress, and relax. Okay, next group. Okay, very good. We have powered, happiness, and oh, they just do not want to stick. Comfortable. Excellent. Oh, some more. Nature, family, flying birds. Some definite things that are liked. Motivation. Ooh. There, we got it.
Thank you,
Excellent. Okay. Beauty is next. Okay. Geometric shapes. And rest. So a lot of things that are restful, relaxing, no stress. Do we have any other groups that haven't put theirs down? Oh, we got here. Yeah. Okay, so another one was added. They want to see healthy food represented in the mural.
Oh.
Okay, so far, again, there's some themes emerging. We want to see motion, color, symbolism, nature, family, flying birds, optimism, energy, color mucho, so color is repeated, geometric shapes, socialize, helpful, no stress, relax and rest, motivation, happiness, comfortable, beauty, powered, and healthy food. So I love that you guys have clearly resonated with Cecilia's work, right? Already the flying birds and the color, the motion and the energy. What else would you guys like to see? Are there any comments or things, questions you have about the mural? I asked you to do your top 3, but we have time now to discuss this in more detail. If you have other ideas you want to bring up.
Like an open, like a big,
Yeah,
like
open
a
conversation.
big gate open to people and with food and
Okay, so
like a gate that is open for everyone. It's feel welcome.
I like that. So we're thinking about that concept of openness, and this is one of the challenges an artist has, right? How do you take an abstract concept, something that has no shape, no form, and make it communicate through visual, concrete terms? So, for instance, this idea of openness through open doors or gates, and what would be behind that if we're talking about health and wellness? Maybe food, people, resources. Other comments? We can kind of riff off each other. Do you agree? Shy? And you can speak in Spanish too. We have a couple people who will translate. Yeah? Oh, so the question was, Cecilia, the question was if you had any initial ideas, if you've come up with anything yet.
Not quite.
The short answer, not quite.
I'm not quite there yet. Just because I haven't decided about the wall that I'll be using. So today is the day that I'm gonna be sure about that, and then I'm gonna be able to visualize the concepts or potential ideas for the mural.
Got a question back here.
I'm just curious, Cecilia, I'm intrigued by your use of not only walls and surfaces, but also the floor plane on certain projects. I'm just curious, and maybe it's more of a question to those at HCC, but is it possible that you might be able to do both and incorporate a little bit on the sidewalk or the plane?
Like a pathway.
Yeah, so it seems like I see a lot of people nodding, like you're very intrigued by the idea that Cecilia not only paints on vertical spaces, so walls, which is really this traditional space we expect to see art, but also on the ground. So it's a possibility. But this is why I love these kind of forums, because we want to hear what intrigues you guys. I mean, this is, as students and faculty and staff and community members, you're the ones that are going to be seeing this repeatedly when you're on campus. And so you want that to be something positive. You want that to have an overall beneficial outcome for this area. So whether that's on the wall, or maybe if you guys really want to see things on the ground, that's something we can talk about. Any, again, questions, comments, this is just kind of an open floor. You can speak right to the artist, the organizers.
Another theme that keeps coming up for me is like the traditional cornucopia or abundance, which also ties into some of the themes that have been brought up about optimism and joyfulness. Celia seems to have a real adeptness at drawing and painting things from life or plant life and birds. So I'm just wondering if that might be a point of departure as well, like, you know, the bounty of the earth, you know, expressed in an optimistic way.
So that's a possibility, nature and abundance. Oh yeah, back over here.
I was also wondering, well, obviously, it's gonna be to educate people, but I want to know, like, how would she tie education into like the art, like with the color, like if she'd be able to like put like little quotes or I don't know, like tie anything into it dealing with education to educate people, let them know better, like what the mural is for.
Yeah, so it's a good question how it connects to education, how it's effectively communicating to an audience. You have some initial comments? Have you done that before?
No, really.
I can say actually,
Something I want to take into consideration, for sure.
so she'll be thinking about that now, which is why we're so grateful for your comment. But I can also speak from the HCC standpoint. We will be involving students and community members in the creation of the project. We think word of mouth is really powerful. So at the end of this, I'll do a little shout out now, back there with Rocky, look at this, he's got the clipboard ready. Once we know what the design will be for the mural, we'll announce it. And then we want you, the students or community, to be able to work right with the artist. So if you're interested in volunteering your time to help her with the fabrication, you saw some examples of how she works with community groups in the past. Leave us your first and last name and the best email to contact you at, the ones that you check most often. And then when we're ready to move into the fabrication stage, the gallery will send you an email and invite you to like a little meet and greet where you can sign up and learn more about what that stage of the process will be. So we do encourage you, if you want to be involved, if you want to learn how it's going to communicate and hear it right from the artist, you can be part of the painting crew, volunteering your time working with Cecilia. So you can do that right in the back of the room, your first and last name and email.
Something that perhaps based on the presentation that Patrick and I did, and we didn't even know when we start kind of sharing what we're gonna be covering, something that it was in both presentations, it was the perspective of family. We have this concept of community college, only students, fresh out of high school, 18, 19, 20, but if you look around, I think, you know, yes, we might have people who are in their 18, 19, 20, but a community college is, at least HCC is way more than that. And we have people who are perhaps coming here to learn English, or we have people that now their kids are grown up and coming back to college to finish their degrees. So I think that concept in having the family concept and a lot of students we have here, they are parents and they are the ones struggling with this. And I think that the family concept will be a good component, perhaps.
When there was some chatter, I heard someone say the word pathways, and I think it was in reference to the physical pathway that might lead someone through an area, but it got me thinking about food and emotional connection as pathways to well-being. So that might be a way to show movement with these topics.
I was furiously writing down some of these. I also want to do a little shout out, or no? Okay. This is envisioned as really a community project. I mean, there's been a real insistence on the part of the college to keep that part in our name, Hillsborough Community College. So I want you guys to know also, this is not just a resource for you as students, so we're definitely focused on that. But your friends, your family, anybody living in Hillsborough County in particular, can be involved. So if you're really excited about these concepts, you can invite your friends and your family to also sign up and volunteer with the artists, come back for our projects. We had someone here who was working with Humana, the college's intern, so maybe you know someone who works here and perhaps doesn't know all the resources that are available to them, you can do that as well. Other questions? Again, you've got the artist right here in front of you. Comments? It's been really good so far. Okay, so I think we're going to call that a wrap. If you thought of something but were too shy to say it out loud in front of everybody, feel free to, again, write it on the Post-it note, stick it on the board on your way out. Please leave those surveys that you completed on the table. We'll come and collect those. You can find more information back there, resources for health and wellness that are available to you right on our campus and outside of it. So you can go back there to my friend Rocky. He's got all sorts of things from counseling, from Feeding Tampa Bay. So please take some, multiple, if you want to hand it out to friends. There's also little QR codes. So maybe you know someone who wasn't able to be here, but would be excited to give their feedback as well. All the questions that you filled out in that survey that you heard from our two presenters at the beginning, they can fill this out online. So we got a few days. Or maybe you have a brand new idea tomorrow as you're eating lunch or about to go to sleep and you want to do the survey over. QR code brings you right to the survey online. Thank you guys so much for being here. Take lots of resources, and we look forward to seeing you involved in projects later on.